Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This stinks being, all buried away like this in quarantine mode, because usually on the first Wednesday of every month I would be attending an open mic that Tom hosted that was a place for being able to share and read poems. It was called Community Poetry, and I would always share books from New Scars Publication, share poetry from New Scars Publications books, and I feel so bad because I've been so alone, stuck in quarantine, that I'd read from new books, like the new book from Down in the Dirt. It's nice to remind me at times like this that I am not alone. This is a magazine that has been out since the beginning of the millennium. I've happy to be editor of magazine number 2, and this is a statue of a guy without hands from New Orleans, somewhere in the French Quarter. So I thought, for some reason, people feel like life is tough and we can't get through something like a quarantine like this. Titles from issues are taken from accepted writings. One of the pieces in this book is titled I Am Not Alone. It seemed like a perfect excuse to use this combination and share it during quarantine times for everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. I thought I would share with you a few poems from the end of this book, and they relate to different things from the month of April, I believe. So I have to read this there's really tiny print underneath that says what these poems were written for on the back of this book. This was written on the 4th of April for victims of violence, Holy, W-H-O-L-L-Y, or Holy, H-O-L-Y, for victims of violence, Holy Day. This piece is called Victims of Violence for Lending a Hand. Working as an acquaintance rape workshop facilitator for years, I designed flyers and brochures and newspaper advertisements to spread the word and to help women who have been suffering because of men who used sex as a weapon violently against them. Someone then tried to defile my name for this, writing slanderous things about me in public bathrooms, but their petty comments were nothing compared to the violence men commit against women daily. So I had no problem with abusers calling out someone for non-violently fighting back. When I heard that yesterday was Victims of Violence Holy Day, I absent-mindedly thought that this was a day to give women and all people the respect they deserve so they can be whole again after battling violence in relationships, in family, in sex. But then I thought the date for Victims of Violence Holy Day more and realized that April 5th is the day that Martin Luther King Jr. was actually shot and killed. Then I realized this date was for more than honoring the victims of these crimes and the survivors, but to remind us that those who fight for change can be hurt in the process too. The death of this activist reminds us that we all have that dream of nonviolence and equality between sexes and races, and we should help not only the ones who have suffered this wrath, but also help the people who were attacked and defiled because they care. For people who picket on the streets, for people who write for change, for people who counsel the abused, for people who lend a hand or a hug. This fight is for all of us, and we love you for all you do. Amazing these things that happen on these days, but then I see on the 7th of April, which I believe is today. Is today? I have to check the calendar. Is the 7th of April today? I think it is. I think that this is a perfect reason then, therefore. Haha! April 7th. Sorry, had to check it on the calendar. April 7th. Because this is today. This is the poem that is for today. April 7th is National Beer Day. For that, I'm gonna have to get a beer. Oh my God, it's the middle of the day. I wouldn't be doing this at a bookstore. But since this is an Austin thing, I might as well put a little bit of beer into an Austin beer glass from a local brewery and have a little beer for this long poem for National Beer Day. I can't believe I'm doing this. Well, that's good. It's late enough. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I should leave that somewhere so that you guys can see it. And then I can read my poem. This is quote unquote holiday for us beer drinkers. So it's fitting I've got the glass, right? This is a poem called quote unquote holiday for us beer drinkers that was written on April 7th for National Beer Day. Back in 1920, the U.S. passed the 18th Amendment that outlawed the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages, but not the drinking of alcoholic beverages. After 30 years, President Franklin Roosevelt, in March of 33, passed an act that said beer up to 3.2% alcohol could be sold, and said, "I think this would be a good time for a beer." Prohibition was later repealed with the 21st Amendment, but in 33, all they could say was yippee skippy for April 7th, because that was when the law went into effect for beer sales. People waited at breweries and taverns the night before beer became legal for hours to drink their beer again. On National Beer Day, I sit here at a local brewery drinking beer with more than twice the alcohol content of what they allowed back in 33, laughing at the reason National Beer Day actually exists. One friend told another to start a Facebook page for this day, and the page was seen by the Colorado Beer Examiner. So they kept spreading this on social media outlets until the beer drinking app Untapped made a badge for National Beer Day for people on the app, then check the beer into the app on April 7th. Eventually, elected officials even recognized National Beer Day in 2017. I think that beer should have a holiday. Beer's been around for 6,000 years, since Sumerians drank beer through a straw, followed by Babylonians making 20 beers. Egyptians, Greeks, Romans made it. Even the Catholic Church brewed beer once, which makes sense since saints sometimes became saints after fasting for weeks to have visions when only consuming alcohol. Germanic groups also joined in, making my favorite beer. So it's cool that in 1516, beer purity laws, actually the German Reichsgebot, I said that wrong, sorry about that, said beer was only made with water, hops, barley, wheat, and yeast. I even sit here at my local brewery with my local Imperial Hefeweizen under that sign declaring water, malt, hops, yeast for their essential beer quinteffecta, sorry. No, I haven't been drinking much, I swear. Quinteffecta. How many times do you use that word, right? But, you know, that was all they needed for their essential beer, quinteffecta. So, yeah, although it is new, this holiday exists because Americans were so inept in the 20s that they forbid the selling of beer or liquor, which is my cue to finally reflect on my hometown with tunnels under the Green Mill bar to allow their speakeasy and possibly the mafia access during Prohibition to avoid the law, which still makes me smile to this day. So, why not celebrate on this day? A day now known because two friends spread the word on social media. Just get a good beer in your hands and join in the celebration. I didn't have much in here, I swear, but I should toast to you for this. Oh. Not bad. Not bad. Need to wet my whistle while I'm reading anyway. I have one, maybe two more poems for you from this book, from Down in the Dirt. That is the April 2021 issue of this monthly magazine that is titled I Am Not Alone. And this is actually something that was written on the 15th of April in 2019 while the Notre Dame fire was going on. So we have a deep one for you guys. This is called Zeuss Foundation. The shock comes from the suddenness and the certainty when something loved for years, always a constant, is suddenly destroyed so quickly, so succinctly, so completely. You thought you did everything you could to stop this. You thought the entire world did everything in their power to make sure nothing like this would ever happen, and yet here we are. You sit in shock from far too away to make a difference and watch the new mindset of instant recollection to force down your throat the instantaneous news that is killing you to live through. Thousands of lifetimes and stories are lost in one unplanned, unintentional act. And now face the loss that no one expected, the loss that we couldn't even imagine. Everything from the foundation to the Xystus has collapsed as you wonder what within you has collapsed too. Whether you want to worship or want to admire or want to remember, it is now gone forever. And your first battle is to cope with it, to let the shock wear away until you can begin to grieve. The day this happened, I was working at my desk and I had a TV on, and it was lunchtime and my husband's in his office and I had no idea if he had a TV. So I started just with my phone snapping shots of what was going on, and I included them throughout. There are like 6 photos, I think, or something. There's a lot of something, but it's going to be impossible to see on a Facebook live stream, really difficult to see on a YouTube video, and it would be in black and white anyway. So I would suggest if you'd like to see any of these snapshots, they aren't things I took. These were newsreel photos that were on the air. If you go to scars.tv/dirt and look at the webpage for the book I Am Not Alone, you can see links to the actual color photos that were snapped at that time, which are better quality than the book. And my talking about that at least could get my mind off of thinking about how awful that was to see that be destroyed. Wow. But I've got one more poem, and it's the last poem in this book that I'm going to share with you. It doesn't relate to a date, but it is a dreams poem. The man that started the open mic that I took over in Chicago, David Rubin, he would write down his dreams and have them as poems. And I thought, this is a novel idea. I think I should try this. And so every once in a while you'll catch a dreams poem out of me. And this is one of them. This poem is called Even If Only. Even If Only. Dreams 4/15/19. We hosted a party in our home, apparently a get-together of sorts, although I haven't hosted a party in years. There were a lot of people there. A friend of mine and her business husband came, and even though they were no longer in the same state, they were there. And I can remember saying to me, the one thing was that he was there. The man who was my date at her wedding. The man who does live here in the same town as me that I have not seen since moving here, much less the 15 years before I moved. Across the room, he moved his hair out of his eye as he turned to the door. He wasn't leaving, he was just turning with the mass of people at apparently my insanely popular party. That's so funny. So I tried to decide if I should talk to him. He was once the world to me before he up and disappeared from my life. But we had so much of a past. And doesn't even know that I'm here. So with trepidation, I walked toward him, making my way through all of the guests. When I got close to him, I can't even remember if I said a word to him. Our eyes just happened to meet. I cannot remember speaking to him. And I am not sure if I immediately spoke or not, or if he even spoke to me. We had gone our separate ways. There was no turning back from the choices we made. But when the crowd of people in this room started to move us, he took my hand and I held him because for this one moment, at this one party, we should be around each other, even if only for a moment. End of the Dreams poem. The last poem that was in the book, because there's things at the end of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is the Down in the Dirt book that is titled I Am Not Alone, which is very fitting when we're in quarantine times to say, help me, because we're all trapped and quarantined like this. So I hope that everyone enjoyed poetry reading, because you can submit poetry or prose to Down in the Dirt magazine. And a lot of people go. There's a max word limit for prose, 1,600 words, just because so many people send stuff. But if you'd like to be a part of it, you can always find out about it at Scars Publications, which is website scars.tv, not .com.tv, and /dirt, or just click the link for Down in the Dirt magazine. You can learn about I'm Not Alone or any of the other magazines, or how to submit writing. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is creatively inclined still, even after being quarantined for as long as we've been. And I hope that everyone who out there who feels alone doesn't anymore, because we're not alone. We're here for each other, and we can continue to be strong, and we can get through this. And I want each and every one of you to hang in there, and I will talk to you all very, very soon with another reading in honor of the 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time community poetry reading that Tom Woodruff hosted at Half Price Books in Austin every month in honor of that. So this is for him, this is for Austin, and this is for you guys. I hope everyone is doing well, and I will talk to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you very much.